Okay, everyone, good afternoon. We are back from the short break. For those of you who are still with me from this morning, this is the second part of my day, which now I am putting on my chef hat for all of you. If you have not already watched the video that I posted this morning, it is called Boundaries Are Beautiful. And that lesson is from the 13-part series that I'm sharing with you called A Walk with the Teacher. And that lesson this morning is very beautiful, and I think it will be very helpful and encouraging to you. So this afternoon, what I'm going to be making is something savory, because some of my wonderful customers have been asking me to show them something savory that I create, and also something healthy, because now that it is 2023, it's a brand new year, it's a brand new beginning, I guess, and so why not do something new that we haven't done before? A couple things I want to note. If you have not been down to see me at the boutique, it is Wendy's Bakery and Boutique inside of Stella and Irene's. So that is where I have a storefront with my bakery and all my pretty little things that you can buy, gift ideas and home things, and a lot of my Zen line. I have a local artist work there, including Kate Job. She is a local artist and visionary. She's amazing. I have her line of beautiful things there that you can purchase. And then that is where you can come and I get to see you. I actually went back to the boutique just 20 hours a week so I could see a lot of you that I had not got to see during my 6 months here at home in my home bakery and my Zen space. So it's been so nice to see everybody. And also I like to make things pretty all day. So I get to serve up all of those favorite cakes and torts and tarts and everything that you love. So if you haven't, like I said, been there yet and you want to come on down, it's 500 Willow Avenue, and my hours are from 9 to 2. We'll be opening again on Saturdays once spring hits, or at least the bakery will be. I don't necessarily think that I will be there on Saturdays, but Stella and Irene's and my storefront, regardless, will be open. Also, cooking classes have resumed because it's January and the busy season has passed. So I hope everyone had a happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas, and I hope everyone is feeling beautiful on the inside and out. So January, my charcuterie, my vintage charcuterie board and cakes class did sell out, and those are held here in my home in historic Council Bluffs. But February 2nd, there's a charcuterie and decadent desserts class. Now, make sure you go to wendyskitchenboutique.com. All the details are there. You could also go to my Facebook and get the information and the link to register. But we are doing charcuterie with a crazy, awesome, beautiful twist that I've been doing. So I get kind of bored with doing the same thing all the time. You probably know that by now about me. It's one of my best and most hard to keep up with traits, I guess you could say. It's okay, you're not supposed to keep up. You're just supposed to come along. Keep up with you and come along with me if you want. February 2nd, from 5 to 8 p.m. here in my beautiful home, I'm welcoming you as my guest to do some fun things. And my husband, Brandon, he's like the ghost. You guys never get to see him, but I do promise you that he exists. He is real. He is the exact opposite of me. He's very quiet. He's behind the scenes kind of guy. But he is now on his winter break from work. He's a project coordinator for a restoration company. And you know, you just really can't repair brick and stone and all those kinds of things in the winter. So he has a honey-do list from me. So he's going to be making me some beautiful boards to use for charcuterie, as well as he's making me a new work table. So we have a deadline, and he is home and he can hear me right now. So January 12th is my first huge 20 guests here in the home charcuterie event. So he's got a little honey-do list. And my honey-do list right now is teaching you how to make this flatbread. So let's do this. Okay, so the ingredients, so what we're gonna do, so when I had this at my boutique, when I owned it, it was called The Perfectionist. And really it's simple, whole, and tasty ingredients and very few ingredients that create something absolutely beautiful. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna get right to it here. I did make one ahead of time, so we're just gonna put that to the side. So I use a naan, and a naan is a flatbread. It originates from India, and it is a beautiful, it's like a stone ground. This is a garlic infused flatbread. I got this at Trader Joe's, and I got a whole bag of them. There was 8 of them for like $2.99. You can also get them at my Aldi, my wonderful Aldi store. I know it's not just mine, I share it with everyone, but Aldi or Trader Joe's has these, affordable and great. So you can spray the bottom of your surface. I might as well do that because the flatbread will stick if you do not spray. So definitely spray. This is just a cookie sheet here. We put our flatbread down, and then we're gonna layer it with some ingredients. It's also kind of like a homemade pizza, but I'm not really so much of a pizza all the time girl because I'm kind of fancy. So what we're going to put on this is, I'm going to start with a marmalade. And this is a sweet orange marmalade. It happens to be one of my favorite things that I use on flatbread or on charcuterie. I also use orange marmalade in my scones, in my muffins. I use it in cakes. I use it to marinate pork with. I put it on the top with some brown sugar and honey. So marmalades are my favorite. If you have watched my previous videos, you know the difference between jelly and marmalade. Marmalade is also called preserve or compote. It has the actual fruit in it. So jelly is just liquid and sugar, where this actually has the orange peel and the orange rind and the orange, the inside of an orange, which makes it really, really good. So I just did a thin layer of that on my flatbread. And what was I gonna say? We have caramelized onions. Have you ever had caramelized onions before? Do you know what they are? Let me explain them. So I do not have time to make these. Actually, I have some of these left from an order I did this weekend, but I can show them to you what they look like. So how you make a caramelized onion is you slice your onion really thin, and you put it on the stovetop in like a skillet, or I use a pot for mine. And then I put a little bit of olive oil and either some granulated sugar or some brown sugar, and then I cook it over high heat. Like I start off at like a medium high and then reduce it down to like a medium heat, and I stir it and I cook it pretty intensely until all the liquid is out of it and they become caramelized. And you guys, it is an amazing flavor. It really only does take about 15 minutes to do those. So I would strongly suggest for this, if that's something you haven't tried, you can totally try it. And if you would like me to walk you through it, you are more than welcome to give me a call, and I will. You can come here to my house and we can make them together, or you can call me on the phone, 813-255-5153, and I will tell you how to do it. If they do tend to have a little bit too much liquid on it, like these are kind of liquidy, I definitely am not going to pull from that because that's going to make my crust kind of soggy, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to squeeze some of that left over off there, and I am just going to layer. And it doesn't have to be a lot because we're going to have some other things on here, so you just kind of want to get a nice little bite of this caramelized onion on every piece. And then what we're going to do for this is, you could use some apple or some pear. This, I have a really pretty red pear here that I could use. That's what I used in the last one. or I have just a Bartlett pear. And these were $1.99 for a pound, so this was a very affordable option. So since I already have this one cut, I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. You can also use a sliced apple. Any kind of apple is fine. If you want more of a tart on this, you would definitely use like a green apple. And if you wanted something a little bit sweeter, definitely go for a Gala or a Jonathan apple. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make sure I put this pear, we say butt down, so that way it doesn't wiggle or slide around. You see how that's nice and solid there? Otherwise you could accidentally cut yourself. We are cutting this pear into little thin strips like this. Okay, so once the pear is cut, you guys, this is what it looks like. So just kind of like how you would slice an apple. We are going to put that down here on our naan. Naan is spelled N-A-A-N, and it is from India. Not as much yeast in naan, not as much sugar. It's more of a rustic bread. Okay, so now we have our naan, a little bit of marmalade. We've got a really pretty red pear that I picked up from Trader Joe's. And now is our cheese option. So we have a variety of things that we could use, kind of depending on what flavor that you want to go for. So these are the three that I thought that I would show you today. I frequently use these in quiche. I use them a lot on charcuterie. I just use them a lot in general because they're just so flavorful. I got my favorite, which is a blue cheese. You know, blue cheese is one of those things, and we've talked about this before. Either you like it or you don't. And if you don't know like who your guests are or who you're serving, maybe something like this, and this is definitely good for a meal, good for an appetizer, good for a grazing table, good for brunch. It's just good for many different things. But if you don't know like your company that well or their taste preferences, I would definitely, you know, be careful with blue cheese, because I feel like in my family, I'm the only one that likes it. So whenever I say, oh, I got blue cheese on something, everyone's like, ah! So might not want to use the blue cheese. Another option that you can use, this is a crumbled goat cheese, and this is a tomato basil goat cheese. So this would definitely make it a little bit more savory, and that's savory as in like tomato basil-y. And that's not what I'm going for today. I'm going for more of my French flair. So guess what we have? How many of you can guess? Knowing me and knowing my preferences, I bet you know. You are right. It is brie. And this is a beautiful soft brie that I picked up from Trader Joe's this morning. And this is the cheese that I'm going to use. For those of you who have watched my other videos or who have taken my cooking classes, you now are on the brie bandwagon, as I would say. Such a beautiful cheese. It's one of those things, again, though, it's kind of like an acquired taste. It's like, I kind of feel like there was life before brie, and then there was life after. And for so many people that I've served, they just say, oh my gosh, I use brie so much now because I just never knew how versatile and how flavorful it is. So this is what brie looks like. So brie, when they make brie, it comes in a great big round circle. Obvious, this one, they just cut and package. This brie costs $5 at Trader Joe's. You can get it a little bit cheaper at Aldi, but Aldi didn't have it last time I was there because I'm assuming it was probably really popular around the holidays. And you leave the white fleshy skin of the brie on, because brie is considered a raw cheese and it's a soft cheese. So this is kind of ooey gooey here. And this keeps it all intact, especially once it starts melting. It's moving, it's going places. So I'm going to cut this, and I'm actually going to cut it in half here. And then I'm going to make beautiful little strips with this brie. Just like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to put them the opposite direction that my pear is on my flatbread because it makes a pretty design that way. Okay. And we are just topping our flatbread with this. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go ahead and do 7 of these. Remember odd numbers, you guys, because food is an art, so we like those odd numbers. And then I'm going to run to my other side of the kitchen because there's one ingredient that I did not bring over that I really want to make sure that you utilize for this. So give me 1 second. I'm back. Did you miss me? Did you miss me? It's been a while since I've done a video because I was just so busy. So it's so nice. This is my second video that I've done today. So I'm all in the mood to be in my kitchen. Feels nice to relax and be back with you. I hope everyone's been taking such good care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, you know that. Taking care of yourself is beautiful and vital and wonderful. And really, if you're not taking good care of yourself, how could you ever try and take care of someone else? You probably can't. So remember, you guys, if you haven't been watching my Zen moment videos, my life lesson videos, and those kinds of things sound like something that may interest you, do something nice for yourself today and watch some of my videos. And if you have any questions, you just give me a call because you got my number and you know where to find me. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I have on my naan orange marmalade, sliced pear, beautiful circle of 7 slices of brie. And the 7 slices of brie are very important. They cover the surface, but it's not like plastered because that's not what we're doing. We're layering flavors because remember, this is kind of French and Mediterranean, and in both places like that, they don't just heavy on the food. It's all about flavors and textures and layers, and that's what we're doing today. So this thing I'm waving around in my hand here, I wish you could smell. I wish you could smell. It smells so good. It's fresh rosemary. And rosemary goes amazing with brie and with pear. So I want to talk a little bit about fresh herbs. I have an herb garden outside of my house in a beautiful horse trough that my husband got me this year. And I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm a freak about using fresh ingredients because we came from the earth. Everything that we need really to sustain ourselves comes from the earth. And the most beautiful flavors come from the earth. So it's so nice. And if you want more flavor in your life, then I would definitely suggest using fresh herbs. And they're not scary at all. I know like my mom and some, maybe kind of that older generation, and like my mom, like we were raised in a small town. And my mom's like, I never used fresh herbs because I just wasn't familiar with them. They weren't in the grocery store, and it's not something that we really grew on the farm. So she just never was exposed to it. So I wasn't exposed to it in my earlier life. Well, you know, as life took me, you know, I've been all over the world and been all sorts of different places, and I started making my way into food. And I started getting acquainted with fresh herbs, and I tell you what, now I can't live without them. Like dried things are good, like, you know, like dried basil or dried, all these dried, but it's different. I'm telling you, using these fresh earthy ingredients adds just so much flavor, and it's really good, really, for your immunity health, for your skin, all sorts of health benefits. So I have just used scissors and my fingers to get the rosemary on my flatbread. And by doing that, by using my fingers and a knife, I'm opening up the pores of the rosemary, and it's opening the flavor. So my entire kitchen smells amazing. So the last thing that we're gonna do to this flatbread before we pop it in the oven is we're gonna use a little bit of Himalayan, I can't speak today, pink salt. You can use any kind of salt you want. If you're not a big salt person, you can just skip it, but the salt does add a little bit of layer that we're needing. And then I've got some black pepper that I'm gonna crack myself. Once again, you can use any kind of pepper that you want. I am a huge fan of cracking my own pepper because I love the peppercorns and I like the different kind of pepper that is in there. So we have our completed flatbread. So what you're gonna do with it now is you're going to pop it in your oven. And I have my oven on that side of the kitchen over there, and I put it on broil. So if you broil this, you can choose to do it on broil on high, broil on low, but the most important thing is I broiled mine on high, but put it on my bottom like rack, and then I didn't leave. Like I didn't leave my kitchen because I am known for, in one day at my boutique last year, I burnt 3 of them because I walked away and did something else. So there is a golden rule between me and my friend Dustin, my kitchen assistant, that I am not allowed to leave the proximity of my oven if there's a flatbread in there. So, broil takes about 6 minutes, 5-6 minutes, okay? Stand by your oven, stay in the close vicinity, and just keep your eye on it. And as soon as it's like, this is what it's gonna look like, done. As soon as it looks like this, I'll bring that close to you so you can see it, okay? So it's got that dark crust around the edges, okay? And these are like just a nice little brown, but not too much. Your flatbread is done. And then what I'm going to do, so broil for about 5 to 6 minutes. You could bake it in the oven at 425 too, if you're like, oh, I'm just not good at broiling at all, Wendy, I just can't do that. That's okay, you don't have to. You can also turn your oven on bake for 425, and then it will take about 10 to 15 minutes. Just kind of keep an eye on it. You know your oven a lot better than I do. My ovens tend to cook a little bit fast and a little bit hot. So, okay, you got it? Let me summarize. Flatbread, make sure you're spraying whatever surface you're using, okay? Because otherwise that flatbread's gonna stick. Flatbread, whatever flavor of marmalade that you want to use. Some of those beautiful caramelized onions that I told you how to make, just a few, however many you want. And then you can either do pear or apple. And then remember we had 3 different kinds of cheeses that we talked about. We talked about blue cheese, we talked about sun-dried, or even just regular feta cheese is popular, or our beloved brie that we use. On top, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and some fresh rosemary. And then we're gonna put that in the oven on either broil for 5 minutes or 425 bake it for around 10 to 15. We have now got that beauty out of the oven and she is gorgeous. What we are going to do is we're going to cut her and then we are going to plate her. And you know how crazy I am about plating food so it's beautiful. Because anyone, well, almost anyone can cook. Anyone can cook it, anyone can do that, and anyone can just throw it on a plate. But you are an artist, and you are creative, and you can make it beautiful. So that's what we're gonna do. You can cut this in many different ways too. So I am going to cut it. I'll back my camera up so you can see it. There you go. All right, so I'm gonna cut this in half the long way, just like that. That way she's in half. And then I'm gonna go this direction and cut it again. So these are gonna, I guess you could call it like party style. I call it in pretty little pieces. Call it whatever you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 slices. And on every slice, there is a little bit of all of my toppings. If they move during the cutting, you have the power and the ability to slide them back on with your fingers. You guys remember, touching your food with your fingers is good. It's not bad. So touch your food, get your love in there. Then I'm gonna slide it. See me? I'm just sliding it once again with my hand. Okay, voila, right? We're not finished yet, guys. Now I have some fresh spinach. You could use fresh spinach. You could use a spring mix. You could use arugula. I mean, you can use whatever you want, okay? So now we are topping it with some of this green. Because remember, what are we doing today? Savory layers. And I just break them up. You can use the scissors if you want. You can leave them whole if you want. Whatever you feel like doing. There is no wrong way to do this. Okay, so now we have another layer. Now we have our flatbread with the spinach. We are going to make our plate pretty. So I have some orange. Orange never goes out of style. It is a fresh, flavorful burst of flavor and color. Remember, once again, okay, I'm just cutting that orange. The oranges that I have here are a bag of oranges from Aldi for $3.99. And they're not mandarins or any of those little ones. It's just a beautiful sun-kissed orange. I always get my oranges at Aldi or Trader Joe's because they are the best. I'm not a huge fan of like thick-skinned orange. And these are affordable and wonderful. Okay, so we're just starting to make this plate pretty. I've got some oranges down here. Okay, I've got some blueberries here. Blueberry. Now we're going to use some balsamic dressing. And this is a balsamic glaze. I've talked about glazes in balsamic vinegar versus balsamic glaze before. I will talk about that again in another video. Don't let me forget, make sure I do that. All right, and then we are going to I'm going to do some candied pecan on the top of this. You can do pecan walnuts. You don't even have to use nuts. It's whatever you want. I myself am a huge fan. We're going to use some fresh rosemary on the top of here. And voila, there we have it, you guys. We have a pear and brie flatbread with balsamic splashed with arugula and some candied pecan. And what you can do now is you just pick it up and it's in those beautiful pieces. Serve it at any function, make it for dinner, have it as part of your charcuterie, or whatever suits your fancy. Have a wonderful day, you guys. It's so good to be back with you. The next thing that I'm going to be sharing with you is a new cake that I just made up. It is called the Pina Colada Upside Down Cake. So that will be coming soon. I don't really exactly know when. It kind of just depends on my schedule. But just make sure you subscribe to this channel and then you'll know whenever I post anything. Have a wonderful day. I hope to see you soon. God bless you and have a wonderful new year. Bye, you guys.